Patrick Duchy Holland says Garda witnesses and the Supergrass lied in court. Death by misadventure, the inquest verdict on Brendan Patrick O'Donnell. The MV Panther badly damaged by fire en route from Rosslare to Cherbourg. Francis Stewart remains in Ace Thorne despite attempts to force him out. Good evening and welcome. Patrick Eugene Holland, the man Gardaí believe murdered Veronica Guerin, took the stand today in his trial on drugs charges. He told the Special Criminal Court that state witness Charles Bowden had lied in court, as had Garda witnesses. Holland maintained that publicity surrounding allegations of his involvement in the murder had forced him to leave Ireland in 1996. Evidence in the trial has now concluded. Closing speeches will be made tomorrow.
Patrick Holland spent just an hour in the witness box on the final day of evidence in his trial on a charge of possession of cannabis for sale or supply. Questioned by his counsel Brendan Grogan, he said that he was prepared to return to Ireland from England earlier this year to answer questions in relation to Veronica Guerin's murder, but distrusted Gardaí and wanted interviews recorded. In preparation for his return, he did some media interviews and fitted recording devices in his shoes. He claims that, contrary to Garda evidence that he answered questions at Lucan Garda station about his alleged involvement in drug dealing, he was never asked any questions about drugs. He claimed he was never cautioned and Gardaí came to interview him in pairs and then had discussions amongst themselves. There was no record of interviews, he said, because there were no interviews. He denies he admitted any involvement in drug dealing, saying it's beyond belief that I would come home to face one thing and then admit to something else. Asked under cross-examination if he was saying that every one of the Gardaí who'd given evidence was lying, he replied, "I know it's hard to believe and I know I'm not going to be believed, but that's what happened." He also claimed that two Gardaí had recited the Hail Mary during what they claim was an interview. This had to do with his mother and he said it distressed him and it was so weird he wasn't even going to repeat it. He claimed that Garda witness Charles Bowden, who said he was a regular customer for significant quantities of cannabis, had lied. Holland says he barely knew Bowden and had met him in connection with flyers for Bowden's hairdressing business. Holland had a printing company and suggested to Bowden that he distribute flyers at Bossoris, offering cheap hairdos to countrywomen. Asked about his nickname, The Wig, he said that while it was possible he was called that behind his back, he was unaware he was ever referred to as The Wig. The bald accused admitted he did wear a wig at one time. The trial has now entered its final days and could conclude by Friday. Mary Wilson, RTE News, the Special Criminal Court.
The inquest into the